My name is Pete Kalu. I'm a storyteller, a poet, and a novelist. And downstairs in this wonderful new building that Oldham has, Gallery Oldham and Oldham Libraries, downstairs somewhere on the shelves, the vast shelves of Oldham Library, are some of my novels. You may look me up, Peter Kalu, or you may Google me, Peter Kalu, bit of promotion here, and you'll find at least 4 or 5 novels that I've written. I've also write radio plays, theatre plays, films, all that kind of thing. But I'm here primarily as a storyteller, and the story that I'm going to tell relates to the transatlantic slave trade. Now, what I'm going to do for the adults is I'm going to pitch it sort of so that we don't frighten the children too much. There's some very, very young children here, so the tone and the way in which I'll tell it will subtly alter from what I might have told if it had been only the adults. Now, and therefore, it'll be an interesting version actually of this story. First thing I'm going to say is that this story is a ghost story, all right? Now, how many here get very frightened of the dark and of things sounding that you don't know about? You get really frightened? Oh, a little bit, okay. Well, if you get really, really frightened, what I want you to do is move away slightly, because the closer you are to me, the more frightening the story will be, okay? But if you're feeling very brave and strong, you carry on right there, okay? Got some very brave kids here. Okay, so the story it's a ghost story, and it starts in the time of now, right now, and it goes back, and it loops back out again to now. And I'm going to start telling it right now. You might not notice the way that I start. I start very, very casually. It was just about a week ago that I was in Jamaica, attending a poetry festival, and I don't know if many of you love poetry. I know you do. You like it, do you? Oh, good. Well, we've got at least one poetry fan. And no, I really, really love poetry too. But sometimes you can have too much of a good thing. And I'd been at this festival for hours and hours and hours. The darkness was descending, and there was still more poets and more poets getting up onto the stage. And I thought, you know, I'd better get going back to my hotel. And I started driving my car. I was not familiar too much with the roads of that area, the Black River area of Jamaica, and I got a little lost. Didn't know where I was in the big dark night. And I drove and drove and drove until my headlights picked out a sign, and the sign said, Habaco Great House Hotel, and the arrow pointed upwards, because I was looking at the big hill, okay? And I thought, well, I can't find my own hotel, so I'll find the Habaco Great House Hotel, because it does sound like an interesting hotel, doesn't it? So there was a swamp at the bottom of the hill, a big mangrove swamp, big boggy swamp. It's rather misty at the bottom too. And I drove up the hill of the road, which went round and round in a kind of spiral. I drove up all the way up to the top, and then went through these very, very big pillars, rather like these pillars here, but even bigger and taller. I went right through them, and there was a big track that led to the courtyard of the hotel. I got out. I was very sweaty and tired. It was a very hot day. And got out of my car, went to the reception, and I said to the gentleman on reception, could I have a room, please? Well, the gentleman was very, very polite, the receptionist. He said, I would love to give you a room, only unfortunately there are no rooms left. There's only one room vacant, and we do not let this room out to guests because some very strange experiences have occurred there. Some very strange things have gone on there, so we don't like to let it out. Well, I was tired, I was thirsty, I was hungry, I wanted to sleep. I said, what kind of strange experiences are these? I don't care what you're saying. If you have a room, I want to be booking it. So give me the keys. And the receptionist, who remained very polite, said, well, if you insist, sir, I will allow you to have the room. But please don't blame me if anything happens. So he had me sign in, and he handed me the keys, and I went up. vast room, probably the biggest room in the hotel. Freshened up, put my bags down. I carried one little sort of bag with my papers. Put my bags down and went downstairs to the reception. Now, in these kinds of hotels in the Black Riviera area of Jamaica, often in the countryside of Jamaica, the people who work at the hotel, the staff, they often don't leave the area once they finish work. They hang around, and because perhaps they don't have that many places else to go. And it was one of the staff. It was the caretaker who I ended up having a small drink with. And while I was having this drink with him, he got talking, and I asked him, what were these strange experiences that had happened in this room that I was now booking and going to stay in? And he said, well, the thing is that what you're looking at here, I was on the veranda outside the hotel, what you're looking at all around you is plantation fields. And this hotel is actually the slave master's house, the house that the owner of the plantation and the owner of all the slaves used to live in. And the room that you have just booked into is actually the slave master's bedroom. And what happens is that a ghost, a former slave, appears in that room whenever anyone stays there, and that ghost whips to death whoever stays in the room. As he told me this, I thought, what a load of rubbish. I've heard so many strange stories that I'm going to put it right out of my mind. In fact, what I'll do is I'll have another drink, and I'll tease out more from this caretaker and find out a little bit more about the story.